Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Atika Puspitasari. I'm a student of English Literature at Pamwang University in 7th semester. And now I want to explain about language disorder. So there are 5 basic points in here. First is definition. Second is classification and characteristic. Third is language knowledge deficit accounts. Fourth is processing accounts. And last is consequences. Okay, first is definition. Language disorders are a type of communication disorder. People with language disorder have difficulty expressing themselves and understanding what others are saying. This is unrelated to hearing problems. Language disorder, formerly known as a significant delay in the use or understanding of spoken or written language. The disorder may involve the form of language. The children with language disorders, now referred to as children with specific language impairment or SLI, that have cognitive weaknesses that may explain at least some of the language learning difficulties these children experience. Next is classification and characteristic. So, language disorders can be classified according to the aspect of language that is impaired, like phonology, syntax, morphology, semantics, or pragmatics. Its severity, like mild, moderate, or severe, and whether it affects comprehension or subjective language, production, or expressive language, or both. According to the DSM-4, an expressive language disorder is characterized by language production skills that are below an age-appropriate level. Deficits in expressive language are apparent in both the formation and production of language and include weak vocabulary skills, word finding difficulties, word omissions, poor narrative skills like storytelling, difficulty providing information, and grammatical errors. Expressive language disorder can affect both oral and written language. Children with expressive language disorder demonstrate age-inappropriate comprehension of language. Deficits in receptive language are apparent when children do not understand language at an, at an age-appropriate level and include difficulties following direction, understanding words and a sentence, and answering questions. Comprehension of both oral and written language can be affected. Okay, next is language knowledge deficit accounts. Vocabulary deficits are a common manifestation of developmental language impairment or LI. Children who come to be diagnosed with LI are often described as late to acquire first words. This is according to Turner, Wolfotolek, and Russell in 1995. And word learning continues to be prevalent for some affected preschoolers and adults. Linguistic accounts usually focus on the difficulty of children with SLI in studying grammatical morphology. The most popular linguistic account, the extent of optional infinitive, or EOI, was proposed Whistler found development evidence that English-speaking children progress through a stage of language acquisition in which the tense marking in the main clause is not mandatory. In contrast, the tense marking is a typical stage in the process of mastering English. The problem for children with SLI is that they don't move through the optional infinitive stage as quickly as developing children. Evidence for this account comes from researching showing that English-speaking children with SLI use tense-related morphemes with much higher accuracy than tense-related morphemes. And processing accounts. Processing descriptions range from claims of general processing deficiencies in speed or capacity to specific processing limitation involving auditory information. Deficit in overall processing capacity will overwhelm conceptual domains that require high-level processing resource. Language and non-language skills will thus exhibit different levels of functioning based on overall processing demands. Slower processing speed will also affect performance on various tasks. Studies have shown that children with SLI exhibit slower response times than their chronological age counterparts in a variety of linguistic analysis tests. General processing limitation may also explain the absence or reduced use of morphosyntax by children with SLI. The surface features of language, such as the physical properties of grammatical morphemes in English, make some aspects of the language more difficult to acquire, especially if they must be understood and processed quickly in the context of performing speech. Specific processing accounts have focused on deficit in auditory temporal processing and phonological working memory. Also, now believe that temporal processing problems are not specific to auditory information. Some researchers hold to the belief that children with SLI have particular difficulties processing auditory information. And last is consequences. Although understanding the possible causes of language disorder is important for early identification and prevention efforts, equally important is the information about the possible consequences of language disorder. The primary risk for young children with language disorders is subsequent reading and academic learning difficulties. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention. Bye.